If you'll give me a little latitude, I would like to moan some about the 2022 Dallas Cowboys football team. They had two notable running backs, the young speedster Tony Pollard and the aged veteran Ezekiel Elliott. Elliott, in his first few years in the league, was a force, like powerful, great moves and a burst of speed from a cut that was unrivaled. But football is a brutal sport, and Elliott had lost a step as he got older. He'd actually lost many steps. Thankfully, the Cowboys had this incredible young star in Tony Pollard. Pollard is all speed and magic moves. Every time Pollard touched the ball, you thought he would score. And he scored a lot when he got the ball. You would think that Pollard would have received the lion's share of the touches every game, but this simply wasn't the case. Elliott was the star of the Dallas Cowboys, and the Dallas Cowboys are a team defined through the 70s, 80s, 90s by great running backs. The idea of giving this new kid space, what did I write here? Okay. The idea of giving this new kid space on the team against the tried and true was anathema to the organization. And by year's end, Elliott remained the starting running back and had nearly 50 more touches than Pollard, despite having about 50% fewer yards per carry than Pollard. Way less effective. The 2019 film Little Monsters is a throwback to the 1980s and 90s comedies. It's male-centric, it's mean-spirited in its joking, but golden-hearted in its core. It's a formula that works over and over and over again, and Little Monsters does that formula just fine. But if the formula is Ezekiel Elliott, star running back, keep him on until he decides to quit, then Lupita Nyong'o in this movie is Tony Pollard. She gets the football quite a bit, but the best moments of every game are hers, but still she doesn't feel like she's the star of the movie because the whole narrative runs through the arc of Dave, the narcissist who learns not to be a narcissist because he survives a trauma. It's not that Nyong'o is running circles around anyone else here. Josh Gad and Alexander England are great, as are all of the child actors. It's well performed, sharply produced. It's a great horror comedy, but Lupita Nyong'o is doing something a little extra. She's got gravity, humor, and is just a dynamic screen presence. And I was wondering why she couldn't be the central protagonist rather than the woman who helps the man realize his full potential, which is kind of a played out old trope. What I'm saying to the Dallas Cowboys and to filmmakers around the world is if you have a star, start them, give them all the carries, build the offense around your most talented player. No one wins when you hang on to the old ways of doing things. Hi, Cecil.
Hi, Jeffrey.
What's your favorite band name of all time?
Favorite band name. For some reason, the first thing that popped in my head is Queensryche.
Oh, that's a
which
pretty
is
good...
such like just because it's spelled so unexpectedly.
They got Queens correct, right? And then the end is RYCHE. How do they do that?
I'm literally.
Oh yeah, it's RYCHE, but there's an umlaut over the Y.
That's it.
Oh, that's really good. That's
anything
really,
with an umlaut
really
automatically cool.
That's Husker Du has that as well.
Yes.
The double umlaut, I believe. Yeah, I think there's a lot in metal bands or more hardcore bands tend to have the more fun names. Like in this movie, what is I didn't write it
God's
down.
Hammer.
God's Sledgehammer.
God's Sledgehammer.
Mine is I don't think they're metal so much as just like noisecore, but there was a band in the early aughts called, I think they're probably still active, Killdozer.
Nice.
And I think Killdozer's a pretty good band name.
Tells you everything about the experience that you're going to have.
That's right. That's right. You know, you're not going to get classical music. You're not going to get pop ska.
Killdozer covers Vivaldi, 4 Seasons of Death.
Oh my God. Yeah, so we got to this movie because we rolled creepy children as the scare.
Okay, sure.
A little bit on creepy children, brief moments.
I mean, you get to see Josh Gad biting the nose off of a small zombie child. So check, I suppose.
Yeah. And silly, which definitely this movie is.
See above comment, Ibid.
Ibid. Ibid would be a great band name.
Ibid. That is a good band name. It would be like all like Haight Ashbury 60s like all that font.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. So I had another question for you, just directly about the making of this movie, which is for context, the other night I'm watching TV and I see an ad for an upcoming film called Strays it may be out by the time this episode comes out, but it is talking dogs. It's got the voice of like Will Ferrell and Jamie
Okay.
Foxx. It looks cute and funny in the way that you would assume a movie like that
Mhm.
would be. And the thing that I noted about that film is that it's rated R.
Oh,
And it is so they're allowing the room for the
yeah.
writers and actors to be
For
more work
blue
blue.
humor.
Yeah, to work
Blue humor, if you
to
will.
to cuss a lot, to make jokes about dog sex. I saw there was a dog sex joke in the preview. And then this movie, and so then I watched this movie the very next night, last night, and I am really thrown aback right away. I'm like, this movie is bleak. I kind of imagine this was a PG or PG-13 film. This
Yeah,
movie also is rated R because
it
it is
is.
very blue. And my question that I had about Strays, which I also have about this film, is who is this movie for?
Who is this movie for? That's a really good question, Jeffrey.
I enjoyed this film. I had fun for the most part watching this movie. I think it is a good time, but it also strikes me as the type of movie that I would have seen if I had seen this movie at age like 14,
Yeah,
12, something like that. It would have been kind of like a recurring favorite, right? Like you watch your like funny, dark, horror-y
sure.
comedies.
Yeah,
And so maybe they're playing at that like some teenagers will get a hold of the parental access on Hulu and be able to watch this movie and it'll be a favorite. But I
maybe.
just was wondering, like, it feels very kids movie but with adult language.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the difference between having a kids movie and a movie with kids in it. Because the
Yeah.
kids are at one time they're both a gag, because listen, there's nothing better than like a school full of children kind of as a conceptual, like, think of the most innocent thing and then put that next to zombies, and that's the comedy.
Uh-huh.
But also, like, this movie, like you said, Heart of Gold, is like these kids are not just a group of school kids. They're very specific kids. They have personalities. One of them loves tractors and so saves the day with his tractor knowledge. So it's a little bit of both, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not made for children. This is
Mm-mm.
not a family movie. I mean, it could be a
No.
family movie. I don't know your family, but
Sure.
it did kind of feel like to me, this movie was made for younger adults, or like 20s 30s adults who maybe have kids and, like, used to like watch crazy horror movies back in the day on Halloween and shit, but now they have kids and they're exhausted, so they don't do that quite as much anymore.
Yeah.
But they're going to watch this movie because it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. That seems right. It seems
Put the
narrow
kids
as an
put the
audience.
kids to bed,
Mm-hmm.
but they can relate. It's all very like, look at this dude who's just the worst parent ever,
Yeah.
the worst authority figure ever, and look at this woman who's like the best authority figure. Oh, look at this. Oh, look, we can all learn a little something from these zombie outbreak.
That's right.
The more you know. Explosion. That's
Yeah,
who I think it's for.
I think that makes sense. It has the same name as the like 1989 Fred Savage
I
movie,
know,
Little
right?
Monsters. Didn't go back to watch that movie. Didn't look it up on Wikipedia. Don't know if they're related at all. But I did think
I'm
like
pretty
people.
sure not.
Yeah, I feel like late Gen Xers, early millennials, people, watching TV in the late 80s would make that connection and just think, oh, this is a kid's movie.
Nah.
Who knows? We get Lupita Nyong'o and we get Josh Gad, and they're delightful. Also, was surprised to learn, because I didn't look up anything about the movie before beginning it. Or I actually this is fully an Australian film
Yes.
with a
Yeah.
couple of American actors, or one American actor and Josh Gad at the center, and then Lupita Nyong'o, who is Kenyan Mexican, I believe,
Wow.
is her like
That's
nationalities.
interesting.
So yeah, it's really fascinating, the Ozploitation type of film.
Is it?
No, it's not at all.
It's like maybe trying a little bit, but no, it's not. It's
No,
not.
it's very like
Nobody exploited those children. I'm sure
no.
their parents were paid handsomely.
So this movie centers around Dave, who is a washed up, kind of early 30 something musician, formerly in a heavy metal band called God's Sledgehammer, I think. I'm already
Or
forgetting. But he, from the get-go, this is a very funny intro
I know
because
this
it's
is
him and
so
his
insane.
girlfriend arguing, a just clip cut of like at the store, in the car, at dinner with themselves, at dinner with friends, at her birthday at a
Yeah,
fancy restaurant.
taking a break to be nice to other people, and then back to arguing. You're a child. No, you're yelling at me. You're the child. I'm not the child. You're the like really, it's just that over and over. Who's being more childish in this relationship?
Absolutely. It's very, very funny. Also, there's like quick cuts of him just sitting at home jerking off to VR. um just ripping bongs, doing nothing, and then when he actually does anything resembling work, it's just him busking without a permit and
Yes.
getting kicked out of the street for playing electric guitar without a
And playing,
busker
like
permit.
a lot of feedback. A
Yes.
lot of static in his music there.
One of my favorite sound effects in film is to let you know that this is not a professional moment, is when the mic gives the feedback.
The mic squeal.
Yeah.
Classic.
So they finally break up, and Dave goes to live with his sister, Tess, who is a mother of a 5-year-old named Felix. And, we've got the classic setup here, which is you have the washed out, no good little brother, Dave, and you've got the put together single mother, Tess, who's just trying to hold it together and offer a space for,
She's
good
a
family member.
nurse, working double shifts, really just doing the she's gonna do it, making it work.
That's right.
And a very precocious, not precocious, a very like just like a nice little child.
Yeah.
That's just 5 years old and is, very particular about trucks and can't eat anything because he's allergic to everything.
Yeah, he's allergic to dairy and gluten and blah, 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 blah. In fact, she says, I got pizzas, and Dave is all excited. And when she breaks out the pizza, it is a vegan, gluten-free little pan pizza. It looks real cardboardy. Doesn't look very good. But this is because of Felix's diet. And then Dave, who is an absolute narcissist, like a textbook narcissist, cannot fathom why on earth we would get garbage pizza like this. And when she explains his allergies, he's like, it's fine, just toughen up with that sort of behavior.
Walk it off.
But
don't worry, he'll be holding that child's hand, singing Taylor Swift to him many times before this movie is over. So don't worry.
That's right. I was having a hard time early in this film having sympathy for just the writing of the movie, because I was thinking, like, I know you kind of have to, a character that has a big arc, that learns not the Ebenezer Scrooge arc. Has to, you need to start the person in a bad place, but there is something about, like, there's not any like cure for narcissism. You know what I mean? Like, there are people who can become self-aware and deal with it and become better at life, but I just was like, I don't think this person is recoverable. And I guess the movie does a pretty good job of making him likable at the end, but I still remember where he was at the beginning.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like, remember when you signed up for this field trip so you could like hit on this poor woman that just wants to like do her job with these
one day ago?
One day ago? 24 hours ago?
Uh-huh. Okay, so Felix is adorable. He's really into tractors, and he's really into this, I thought was a YouTube show, but I guess they say it's like a Nickelodeon show later.
Yeah.
Just a kids TV show called Giggle Time, starring Teddy McGiggle, played by Josh Gad.
Josh Gad is so odd. Like, he's like, do you need a strange comedian, actor, musical comedian? Great, we've got that. What an amazing and specific skill set for Josh Gad.
Yeah.
You know, like, because Frozen's great, but like in that, like he's like he is that like dream Disney, yeah, like you can sing like a motherfucker. You're
Yeah.
funny as fuck and professional. Like this is like you're perfect. And he looks like a ventriloquist dummy in his
He
like
does.
nasty McGiggles.
Do we remember that I lost track of this and I was trying to think of it right as we were starting. The name of the frog puppet? Is it just
Oh, I don't know.
Froggy? We'll just call
Froggy.
him Froggy. It's
Sure.
probably not what that is, but yeah, and he's got like there's somebody operating a little hand puppet to do the little sidekick Froggy
Yeah.
thing or whatever, which comes to play later. Okay, so Dave feeling real fucked up about breaking up with his girlfriend. And it's kind of less of a I'm lonely and miss you more than I'll show you. So he has
Yes.
this idea and he's going to go over to her house
Yeah.
with
In the yeah.
middle of like late at night.
Yep.
He's dressed up Felix as Darth Vader and he's
Come
going to
on.
have him pretend to be Darth Vader and then hold up a pizza box wherein Dave is scrawled, "Will you marry me?" That's his
Yes.
plan. Like, I'm going to bring the cute kid. The kid is now my prop for winning over her heart because in his mind they didn't work because she wanted kids and he didn't, and now he's like, fine, I can have kids, let's do
I
it.
offer you this symbolic child to kill, and may our child prosper in its place.
Yes.
No, that's not what it is. No, come on. How could she say no
Right.
to a hastily put together complete 180 lip service giving with bells and whistles and Halloween costumes at 12:30 on a Tuesday night
Right.
on a hand-drawn pizza box? Come on. He found a marker,
That's right.
took the cap off of that marker, and wrote in his best wavy script, "Will you marry me?" So I think
Yeah.
he's really in it. I think he's a good chance.
He's a real Lloyd
Bachelor.
Dobler, this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he's
Yeah.
he's really got it going on.
But of course, when he opens the door, the first thing he and little Felix see is she's fucking her brains out
Oh
on the love seat.
no. Oh
Coworker.
dear. With this dude who's like very like, oh, this is my coworker who's very like, very kind of grounded male energy. He's like, please stop swearing in front of the child. Yeah, like it's like this is the beginning of the child as prop, like this sort of like kind of Daisy sort of out of touch kid that's just like goo goo eyes over his crazy Uncle Dave. And Dave just like walks off and leaves this kid, has no regard for this. There's a child in the room, and that's the comedy. So if you think that joke is funny, just wait, because we have 90 more minutes of that joke.
We do.
To go.
We certainly do. He tries to attack this guy Rory, and Rory obviously is so grounded male that like probably has martial arts training and manages to parry the blow and then whap Dave in the nose and subdue him.
I'm sorry, I resorted to violence.
Violence is never the answer.
Violence is never the answer. But with like a healthy dose of, in the background, like, oh, get your dick off of me. Oh my God, there's a naked man on top of me. Oh no, what's this straight guy gonna do? Another man's wiener is touching him. God, this is the worst engagement I've ever been to.
So it's all like this whole scene actually is, I found kind of sad. Like it made me sort of sad watching this scene because it was just like I know it's played for comedy and I the jokes can be sort of funny and the little boy carries the scene.
Yeah, he does.
This little boy being Darth
perfect
Vader.
Little blank slate.
Yes, he's so funny. And he'll say Dave had told him like stay in character, and so he's saying everything with Darth Vader voice.
Yes, this is my scary voice.
Yeah, it's all raspy and little kid low voice. It's very cute. But
this scene that made you sad. Like it made you sad to think that this guy is gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna win her back.
Yeah, it's just a person so out of touch with reality, and I think that's what makes me sad as a person who doesn't understand.
I mean, if he had
what they're
been
doing.
Adam Sandler in an Adam Sandler movie, I'm sure it might have worked.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't really watch Adam Sandler movies, so it's so tough.
But I mean, it's like it's a
Yeah,
bananas plot, like from an Adam Sandler film.
I think
Like is
so.
Winona Ryder gonna go? Oh no, what's gonna happen? So it has that sort of rom-com
Yeah.
vibes here, and things that are like socially awkward, but like, oh no, they're so socially awkward that they forgot that they have feelings, and their feelings are feelings. All of that. This scene just made me just want him to get eaten by zombies.
Yes.
Because I'm like, my God, how long is this movie? We've not seen zombie one, everything, but we gotta get to the feeding trough here.
That's right. Yeah, it does. Like a lot of horror movies, it does take a full like halfway in before we see the monster for the first time. So Dave, the next day, he almost gets kicked out of the house by Tess because it's like
you're real pissed.
Yeah, real fucking pissed. So Dave then takes Felix to school, to his kindergarten class, which is taught by Miss Caroline, Audrey Caroline, played by Lupita Nyong'o.
Miss Caroline.
And he obviously is immediately in love with this woman because she's beautiful.
Because she's wearing a yellow dress.
She's wearing a yellow dress.
This dress is like it's such an iconic statement to be like, okay, to think of like the prettiest, nicest, and it had this very I know Tess was reading from The Witches, but she has a very Miss Honey energy in this from Matilda. She's like the teacher surrogate mom for troubled children. That's like, I will stay in your parents have placed me in your good care, children, and I have the prettiest dress, and I sing the nicest with my ukulele, and we will weather this storm together. Oh, you have psychic abilities. Oh no, there's zombies, things like that. No. It's fine. We're going to embrace this and roll with Miss Honey here.
Yeah. All right. So Dave obviously he's lying. He's trying to be cajoling to her. He's really just trying to like get this woman
talking about his band.
Yeah.
But then it turns out she says she's a Christian. So he's like, oh yeah, it's totally a Christian band. You're like, okay.
All right. And and so anyways, there's also another moment where there's another mean kid named Max, and Max is kind of mean to Felix, and Dave sort of hates this. At one point in time, Max is standing next to the door, and Dave just like knocks the door into this kid's face.
Oh no.
While Miss Caroline isn't looking. But later that afternoon, when he comes to pick up Dave, you kind of get the sense that he is late when he comes to pick up Felix, you get the sense that Dave is running late because it's all the other kids are gone. And it's just Miss Caroline walking him out. But there's a moment where they have another parent says, I'm sorry, Miss Caroline. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I'm sorry, Miss Caroline, but I cannot I can't be the chaperone on the field trip because something came up.
So Dave's whatever will we do?
Dave's like, sure, I'll do it. Would love to.
Amazing.
And so he goes on a field trip to Pleasant Valley.
I've been to Pleasant Valley. I've not been to Pleasant Valley. I have held a koala, which seems like in a place very similar to what they were at in like a sort of zoo park animal encounter. It was quite fun.
Yeah,
even though a lot of animals in Australia are very deadly.
As this movie will let us know, you don't get to have your picture taken with a funnel web spider. Unfortunately,
like, here it is in my hand. Oh, look, it's burrowing into my skin. It only does that when it's like, I choose you.
I can't remember if I mentioned this to you on the show or in real life, but friend of the show, Janina Mathewson, had mentioned to me that there is an episode of the children's show Peppa Pig.
Okay.
You're aware of Peppa Pig, cute little sweet show about a British pig and some other pigs. Anyways, there's an episode of Peppa Pig that was banned in Australia.
What?
And I said, what on earth did Peppa Pig do? What did Peppa Pig say that was so offensive to get banned in Australia? And do you know which episode it was?
No.
It's the episode where they talk about don't be afraid of spiders. Because in England and in America, generally speaking,
spiders are good.
Spiders are good, and the bad ones generally will stay out of your way unless you go
Yeah.
fucking with them.
Yeah. But in Australia, they're like, beware of spiders.
You should be afraid of spiders.
I had when we stayed in Australia, like a spider underneath my pillow bit me in the night. And for the next like week, I had this giant welt underneath like my pinky finger meets my hand. And I was like, I know exactly what that is. That's a spider bite. Unless it is not a spider bite, but a spider incubation tube in which a spider has laid eggs inside my hand. And I was like traveling on, so I wasn't coming back to the US. So I was like, okay, listen, I'm putting a lot of like natural ointments. But you know, the thing about it, there's a lot of cool plants there. So I just like, I'm just going to ointment up this thing and hope it goes away. And sure enough, it did. But there was a day where I was like, listen, if this thing doesn't get better by like tomorrow, I'm going to urgency care because something is wrong.
You're definitely thinking about there's a certain spider that incubates for 20 years. So
20 years. It could still be
so
there.
You're looking forward to that. Maybe get an
X-ray. Incubates for 20 years.
I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking.
Okay. You're like, can you imagine we're making this podcast and all of a sudden I'm just like, oh, and then like over the Zoom screen, just like my face just pulls out and just like spiders.
That's right.
Out of a Cecil suit.
Let's just go cameras off for this recording session.
What? I feel like that is a perfect Patreon bonus. The death of Cecil Baldwin being eaten from the inside out by spiders until there is nothing left but the clothes he wore and his skin suit. Only $5 a month.
And you get to help us pick the films that we watch once a month.
And then it's just like you and then like a corpse. Just like pan to corpse of Cecil. The remains of Cecil Baldwin.
That's right. Okay, so
but they're not going to touch any of those spiders.
No,
because they're Australian children and they know. I'm sure Miss Caroline has taught them a delightful rhyme or a song, maybe a song by Taylor Swift, or perhaps by Neil Diamond.
Yeah, so we're gonna get a lot.
Wait, does Taylor Swift write? Does she have any spider songs?
I don't think so. Well, Shake It Off could be a spider song.
No, what am I saying? That's why this song was so important. It had to be in this movie. It's actually about Australian spiders.
Shake it off. Yeah. So we're gonna get a lot of Taylor Swift "Shake It Off" in this movie. They definitely licensed the use of this song.
Apparently, Miss Lupita Nyong'o like personally called Taylor Swift and was like, "I'm making this movie. We need rights to your song. The record company won't give it, but I'm Lupita fucking Nyong'o. So could you do me a favor and let me sing this song on ukulele?" And Taylor Swift said yes.
The greatest level of power is when you never have to tell anyone who you are and why you're important.
I learned,
if Lupita Nyong'o calls you and asks you for a favor,
you say yes.
Yeah, there's no point where she ever has to explain anything. You're just like, nope, yep, sure, absolutely.
That's it. Like, and it's so funny. Like, I love Lupita Nyong'o. I love her when she's like more like that one moment later on the movie where she like pulls in McGiggles and like she gives them the like listen, like gives them the like the we get real talk. That's where I like Lupita Nyong'o like shines when she's an assassin, when she's like a secret, when she's like on, doing Black Panther shit.
Yeah,
like
when she has such a a girlish face, like she's such a young round face. And so that she plays, her default setting is like sort of like innocence and beauty, and she uses that really freshness. She uses that so well. And when she goes to that moment of like
turns
on him, the
like
line when he's like, "I'm a celebrity," and she says, "You're a liability," and I like that's so good. It's just the best. Yeah. When she turns, she's amazing. Perfection. Yeah. So they go on this field trip. They're singing "Shake It Off." She's playing the ukulele. Kids are singing along, and then she says, "Well, we have a professional musician with us."
knows what a professional is. One of the tells said that's when you get so good that you ask people for money to do it. And then this like precocious child gives Dave a look to be like, are you professional?
So he gets up there and sings some metal song called "Oh Daddy, Daddy, Where Did You Go?" It's really it's very
God.
like, this feels like a Jack Black pilot almost. Yeah, I feel like Tenacious D vibes from this scene, although it just doesn't quite have the lyrical.
But the thing about Tenacious D is that it's actually like awesome music.
Yeah,
this
that's
is like
true.
this is this character Dave's like, this is just one big, and it's kind of like sort of half-hearted diary entry kind of singing, but it's also like, it's of course the gag is that he's like singing this completely oblivious to the fact that he's singing to a bus full of children.
Yeah.
He's going to sing his toughest, most like, this is the song that he like normally plays for girls really intensely. And they're like, whoa. And he's like, yeah, whoa, right?
Yeah, there's a actually I think that this is School of Rock, right? Like the so much of the arc of this is School of Rock. Guy lies his way in around kids, learns lessons by being around kids or whatever.
Being around, by just soaking in that innocence
and
responsibility.
Okay. So cut to, now we're gonna get our zombies, U.S. Army base in wherever Australia that we're at.
Why are zombies? I have a question for you. Why are zombies always American? I feel like duct tape and zombies are like two of the greatest American exports of the latter half of last century.
I actually had this question in mind when we got to this U.S. Army base. Okay, so I'll give you a theory. I don't think this is the only reason why, but zombies inherently are about infection, right? Even if we don't say the infection, it's still, you get bitten and then this shit spreads.
Yes.
And in a lot of ways, America is an infection, cultural infection across the world, right? And in good and bad ways, right? There's a lot of great American exports that go across the world that we create. Don't say name one because I don't know right off the top of my head, but there's good things.
Americans do things.
Sure. Did we invent penicillin?
We invent
stuff,
or we talk about inventing things a lot. We talk about how good we are a lot.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
Do we do good things?
We export positivity. Is what we do.
We export good intentions is what we export, Jeffrey. Listen, if something bad happens in America, thoughts and prayers, immediate, arrive on your doorstep.
The road to heaven is paved with good intentions.
That's it.
The saying goes. That's my guess, is like metaphorically or symbolically, there's something about the Americans spreading. Also, Americans, one of the positive things we've spread throughout the world is death and destruction. So that's another thing.
That's another thing.
Did I say positive? Whatever. It's a thing we've spread.
It's a thing. It's a thing that we have, that we do sometimes. Not all the time.
Yeah, it's a hobby.
But you know what also we do? We're really good at making programming that turns you into zombies, like children's shows that make you want to just, do a thing or sing a song. Like, I mean, honestly, I think I literally saw a moment that's like Taylor Swift, write-in vote for president, because people are just like, because Americans are like, civic duty, entertainment.
Yes.
Same, bro.
What if you got this peanut butter and this chocolate? Yeah, sure.
What if you got this peanut butter on this binder filled with a lot of very complicated facts and figures? I believe there are Americans that would still eat it. That's how you get a dog to eat pills. I've heard.
I've heard. We see our first zombies. So these Americans in the secret army base in Australia, we realize pretty quickly that they are harboring zombies for study. Was it a biological war thing? That's never really explained. What? But I don't know. But there's a zombie.
What?
in the middle of this hallway in this army base
That's gotten loose.
And it's gotten loose. And then they take this one zombie down, but we're getting radio calls being like, there is a full-scale breach.
Uh-oh.
And we watch one of the dumb army dude, the guy who's like, why is Australia like all the animals can kill you here?
Literally making the same jokes that we just made.
Yes,
because
that's right.
It's just such that you're like, no, that's Australia. That's the joke you make, right?
That's right.
The animals are crazy there.
We're America's a lead exporter in just
recycled comedy.
Recycled comedy and shitty tourism. So
and it spreads like wildfire. Nobody knows their zombie protocols. Nobody in the United States government was prepared. No information shared. So they're like just willy-nilly shooting at zombies, and the zombies are popping back up. And now we have our zombie walk toward Happy Valley. Is it called Happy Valley?
Pleasant Valley.
Pleasant Valley.
Where
they make the ranch dressing.
That's right.
No, that's Hidden Valley.
That's right. So one of the things interesting.
Thank God we didn't get zombies didn't attack Hidden Valley.
Oh my God!
Because all the can you imagine? That's a zombie movie, infection movie I'd like to see.
Which is everyone who eats ranch dressing gets infected.
Yes, and turns into a zombie.
Yep. I think this movie is sort of interesting because it goes most zombie movies, right? When you think about like Dawn of the Dead or whatever.
Sure.
Because Dawn of the Dead purports that, or the idea of Dawn of the Dead is that this contagion is so contagious that it is a full apocalypse. Like the whole world is covered in zombies, right? The Last of Us, that's
some comet or something causing this worldwide.
And so most zombie movies kind of go with the idea of like the world is ending because it's so contagious, and these zombies are contagious, but to the Americans' credit, they have at least managed to contain it only to Pleasant Valley. Like there are no zombies anywhere else outside of. They just go to Pleasant Valley because there's a bunch of tourists there, and they start eating the tourists.
Nom nom nom.
And then because our survivors are all going to hole up inside the gift shop, the zombies are just going to be stuck there, hoping the food comes out. Basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're all on the tractor ride as the.
Oh yeah, we get a delightful montage of children holding porcupines and a normal looking adults in khaki shorts talking about shrimp on the Barbies. No,
sure.
Like what's holding up animals and being like, this is how you. Lupita Nyong'o milks a cow,
right?
And Dave raises an eyebrow because it looks like a penis. I got that joke.
Who is this movie for?
Like chlamydia, I got that joke.
Also, Teddy McGiggle is there.
Yes.
He's also shooting a thing down under.
Yeah.
And he keeps saying down under in all his ads for it. And it's super charming. And he's also at the farm. So just so we know that. Well, the tractor driver in riding around is like, I just don't see a lot of the animals out on our little ride. Wait a minute. There's one of the forest park ranger guys.
Mm-hmm.
What is he doing? It looks like he's eating a sheep.
Is that what he's doing? A sheep? That's not how you eat a sheep. This is how you eat a sheep. And then they like push the zombie over and she just like dives face first into the sheep. That's not what happens.
No. She does go to talk to this guy, but he is full zombie and he turns on her and attacks. And this is where Dave starts realizing, some fucked up shit is happening.
Yeah.
And he has to drive the tractor. Fortunately, Felix says, no, the clutch is on the left.
Thank God. Thank God children get obsessed with the randomest shit. I mean, tractors is pretty high up there.
Yeah.
Like I recently had an encounter with a young child that was obsessed with Prime drink. And I was like, great.
Prime?
That like Josh Logan Paul, one of those dudes, and like another dude like made a drink that's like the supply and demand. It's like an isotonic energy drink.
Oh my God.
And then like people are going crazy when they drink the 16 plus because it's got like caffeine in it. But it's become a thing of like this child in random child fashion has become obsessed with fantasizing about all the different flavors of prime energy drink that this child could ever possibly drink and where they're located in the world, and finding them and collecting them all and tucking those bottles in at night like a tractor, but just like a tractor, not prime energy.
Yeah.
Is what we have here.
Well, fortunately, this kid loves tractors. I find that so
they
much
were not
more.
trapped inside a giant bottle of post-workout refreshment.
Yeah. So Audrey, Miss Caroline, she's out of the tractor and she starts to realize what's going on. She has to fight one of these zombies off with a pitchfork, pinning him to a tree.
Jeffrey, I have a question. What is our relationship to violence in this movie? Like, it's zombie slapstick. Like, at no point do we ever even entertain the notion that like anything bad is going to happen to these characters.
No. No, it lacks a lot of suspense, right? And this is where I was like, who is this for? Because it really does have the veracity and the threat of like a middle grade middle grade storytelling, right? Like it is gentle, except when it's not.
Yeah.
Except when we see graphic blood and gore of like soldiers blowing apart all these zombie heads, or intestines being pulled out of Josh Gad's
faces
belly,
being ripped off.
Yeah.
Like, the special effects are like pretty top notch.
Yeah.
But the reason for them are a bit silly.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, man, she either has like, she accidentally pitchforks, it's just like the zombie comes after her. So like, she's kind of got first blood.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing of like first blood, like a true hero would never start. Like, violence is not the answer, Jeffrey. But if violence comes upon you, that's okay.
If it just sort of happens, it's fine. Yeah.
That's fine. And then you kind of have carte blanche to pick up another implement, like a shovel in this case.
Yeah.
The sharpest shovel in the world, we're going to find out.
Yes.
Like a shovel made of like cut black diamonds. Because man, that thing just it's like what are those, like, do you remember those they were like, is this a real thing, or is this something that was like on The Simpsons, of like a heated knife blade that would like make toast as
that's
cuts through, or is that from like
it's in the
Gremlins?
Movie of
it's a
Hitchhiker's
inventor.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think about that invention all the time when I'm making toast.
I think about that, but my offshoot would be a butter knife that is like warms the butter so that way you can spread it without cracking.
Yes.
Push it. I'm like, why, and everybody's like, well, just heat up your butter. And I'm like, but then it's all what?
And it's all well, the other solution is to get a butter dish, but the problem with the butter dish,
like a butter bell.
Yeah, or a butter bell. The problem I have with that is that I forget that I have it because I may go many days without needing butter for toast. And then I open it one day, I'm like, oh my god, oh no,
oh dear,
no,
God,
we're not okay. Well, back to the cold butter.
That's where zombies come from.
Yeah.
Now, if you took that butter and you added a little bit of parsley and some garlic salt and buttermilk, zombies.
So we now are in full. We're now in full bore like zombie attack.
But like, are we? Because these zombies are okay. Now, I do love that the later on in the movie, like this movie hangs so many lampshades on so many zombie tropes. Because it kind of has to. It's like, we know what we're doing. You have to know that we know what we're doing in order for this to work.
Yeah.
And so they're like, one of the army men is like, oh, zombie outbreak, fast zombies or slow zombies? Slow zombies. Oh, thank God. And they are definitely slow zombies. So now we've got a slow tractor trailer race trying to get back to, civilization.
Right.
Which is kind of funny. And like Dave is driving the tractor, and Miss Caroline has imaginatively put a beard onto the zombie so that way when the tractor filled with impressionable young children go by, they do not see the fact that it is a bloodthirsty zombie, but it's in fact it's a funny scarecrow doing a funny scarecrow dance.
Yes.
Warms your heart.
And
like
bless your
buttered
heart.
toast.
Yeah, she's doing the most to try to hide the fact that they are in a deadly situation by being like,
Yes.
it's just a game. See them out there. They're wanting to play tag, and we cannot be caught. We cannot be it.
Listen, kids are devious.
Yeah.
So like if you tell children, you're like, okay. I kind of wish that that they had kind of tipped over into like Lost Boys territory a little bit more.
Mhm.
Like not Lost Boys the vampire, but Lost Boys like as in Peter Pan, Wendy, and
Oh, I see. Yeah.
into like it had been more like micro machines underneath the zombies, as opposed to like let's sing Taylor Swift song again to like chill these kids out.
Yeah.
Or sing Frozen again. Like, did you like it's a generational thing of like these are people that this movie is made for people that have listened to Josh Gad sing some goddamn song from Frozen 9,000 times when they want to blow their adult brains out, but they know that their children fucking love it.
Yeah.
And are going to scream for it. So they might as well just give it to them. That's who this movie is made for.
I think
People
that's such a
put
great
on Frozen 2 to shut their kids up in the back of a car.
Yeah. I think that's such a great point because this movie does have, especially with the presence of Josh Gad, is I think there's a lot of like, this is a movie to blow off steam. And
Yeah.
in fact, when Josh
Yeah.
Gad has
Oh
his
my
big
God.
moment late in the movie where he
Moments, multiple moments
where
he
he's
gets
like
it.
hitting kids in the head because they're zombies,
Like
right?
these motherfuckers. Yeah.
So it does have this movie is for, if you liked the book Go the Fuck to Sleep, you will like Little Monsters.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
It's for a young parent, like just trying to figure life out and then have to process that life and explain it to their child in a way that makes sense to them.
Yeah. So they make their way back to the central building.
And it's zombie pandemonium.
Zombie pandemonium. And they try to get into the building.
Yep.
But Teddy McGiggle is there and he will not let them into this gift shop. He's like, fuck off.
Yes.
And
they're like, we have children. And he's like, I don't give a fuck about children.
I know. No, children. He's revealed his true self, which is a truly awful person.
Oh, no.
Which I found really interesting because you have now our adult characters in this movie there's the grounded woman, the kindergarten teacher, and then two shitty men.
Yeah, so like the woman having to do the most.
Yes.
To make up for 0.5 competence.
Yes.
And like -2 competence,
Yes.
Like actual like I've locked the door and all I would have to do is flip open the latch to let you all in, but I won't do that because I'm a celebrity and I get my own trailer, I guess, kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Which is a very American export, I think.
It is, yeah. Individualism.
We're real good at being snowflakes.
So she manages to find like a crawl space, like a little hole to get kids into.
Right? But then there's like crawl through holes. You're like, what the fuck? Why do we even go through all this? Like,
I don't know.
It's kind of like the moment in Night of the Living Dead where like, like our protagonist group encounters the family that is holed up in the basement.
Yes.
And they're like, we won't even let you in. You might be infected. They're like, we're speaking English words to you. So clearly we have full faculties of our self. So like, so it's that nothing says morality tale like just obtuse assholes.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think in order to make this Dave character seem not the worst human being on earth, we need to dig like 3 feet deeper to find sort of like Nickelodeon TV star level of, in order to be like, well, these are your options, Miss Caroline. You're going to be kissing somebody before this movie is over because apparently that's the rom-com rules of filmmaking. So
yeah,
I guess the dude who wears skinny jeans with his butt hanging out and the pretty hair is your winner. So we're going with the Hugh Grant rule of, like may the best hair win.
Yeah. It's just such this old trope of like, girls, you can change him. He can change. And I'm like,
God.
That's just not how the world works.
You know what Barbara Streisand said on that? She's like, only, this is the worst. This is the worst. Are you ready for this? I can't believe I want to say this. Barbara
Please.
Streisand. Only a woman would take a man and change him and work on him and, you know, see the untapped potential in him and then complain that he's not the man he used to be.
Oh my God, Barbara Streisand.
Miss Streisand. Oh dear.
She's always handled things so well. Okay, so he won't let them in the gift shop.
They sneak in anyway.
They sneak in anyway, and there's a big Dave comes in through the roof, and then he and McGiggles get into this real set piece comedy fight where it's
slaps
like
it big. They're throwing because they're in a gift shop, so they're like, you know, Josh Gad is like smashing snow globes for like it's like a snow globe to the head is like the, you know, the worst threat.
Yes,
throwing stuffed animals at each other.
Yeah, he gets stapled in the face, which he never takes the staples out of his face. Even towards the end of the movie, he still has staples in his face.
But it's a gag because he's like, my beautiful face. You know, he's all like, you know, it's that. It's funny.
So the kids finally get in there. This is where, you know, Teddy is sitting in the corner brooding because he knows they're all gonna die. Life sucks. This is horrible. And he can't stop cussing. The kids have the bad word song. Like somebody said a bad word, and now we
have to say it's kind of like when you know, like when you went into like a Cold Stone Creamery and you gave them a tip, and they're like,
yes.
And I was like, listen, I will double this tip if you don't sing. And you just accept my gratitude in the form of hard currency.
Yes.
Without singing a song as I walk out this door. I mean, you can sing if you want, but I will give you more money if you don't sing.
I had a therapist one time ask the question of me when I don't even remember the specific topic and too long of a story, but you get the basic idea. I was talking about something and, you know, I said something about, I think that this person thought they were giving me a gift. And my therapist said, that's a good question. Like, do you ask yourself when you're given something, is it a gift or a curse? And I'm like, oh man, because a lot of times, there is that confusion of like whether or not you're given something. If you give somebody something, are you actually really giving them something because you think that will be great for them, or are you giving them something because you're just supposed to? And that's the tip thing at Cold Stone Creamery. I think about that a lot too, where I'm like, please never sing. This is not working for my feeling that I should be tipping workers.
Well, I mean, it's the child equivalent of a swear jar.
It is. It totally is. They have to sing this. This song doesn't really come into play other than the fact that one of the themes is togetherness, right? Singing together, and that songs in general are a place of feeling happy and positive.
Belonging.
You know, Dave's music is angry and rash. It is coming from a purely angry or guttural place, as opposed to a song that brings people together that they can sing with, unlike Taylor Swift. Yes,
a world of Coke in perfect harmony. Yes, we will corporatize love and belonging, and we will proselytize that to the world.
That's right.
Through zombies.
Don Draper wrote that song. So
yes, he did. No, but that's really interesting. It is like, and I think there is that underlying message. I understand why Miss Lupita Nyong'o fought so hard for that fucking Taylor Swift song, because listen, if you can get a group of people to sing along on a, you know, like it's a delightful thing. It's really like, I was actually camping just the other day, and I was around a campfire with a group of strangers, and this woman started singing this like campfire whippoorwill song, and it was delightful. It was fucking delightful.
Yeah. Music is a thing that can bring us all together. You know, I'm not a believer that every song should be as chipper as Shake It Off or Sweet Caroline, but
listen, if you ask me to clap along, I will sit on my hands.
Yes. Yeah.
They're like, come on, everybody. I'm like, I will sing if the spirit moves me. I will clap or dance. But you begging for it ain't gonna, like, that's probably not it. I would have already been clapping or dancing.
Yes.
If I really wanted to.
So this is where because he keeps yelling, "Shut the fuck up" at the kids while they're singing the swear word song.
Yeah.
And she goes and she picks up a conch shell and pushes it into his gut. And this is where we
she
get
leans in real close.
I'm a celebrity. You're a liability.
It's like, I have been charged with watching after these children, and you are a loose cannon. And it's actually interesting because I needed this. I think we all needed this, like her reason kind of spelled out. Like, why are we going through these, jumping through all these hoops over these kids? And it's important for us to hear from Miss Caroline's lips. She's like, these parents have entrusted me, and I'm not going to fucking traumatize them by telling them, yes, there's a very real danger outside. But instead, if we can get through this and we can make them all think it's a game, I can put them, great. But like, do not resort to like, oh, woe is me. The house is falling in on us.
Yeah.
As your starting position is not a great place to start when attacking zombies, when defending yourself against zombies or dealing with children.
Yeah. As a general rule of thumb, dealing with any intense situation is never really made better by freaking the fuck out. Sometimes we can't help it,
but it's so much fun, Jeffrey.
It is. It feels a lot better.
I love just clearing a table or flipping over a bookshelf, just punching a wall. That's
it's so good. So I also love that she uses the language that she uses for her kids against Teddy. She's like, so if you don't turn that frown upside down,
I know, right?
I'm going to fuck you up. And she's like, now tell the kids everything's okay. No. Do it in your Teddy McGiggle voice.
Make the McGiggles voice.
And now do the laugh. He's like, I don't want to. She's like, yeah, do the laugh. And he does. And she goes, so stop fucking swearing. It's great. Why have we spent all this time like learning about Liam Neeson's monologue from Taken when we should be learning this monologue?
Right? Exactly.
So now we get to our first crisis moment in the gift shop because Dave, being a douchebag who's not paying any attention, feeds all the kids bags of crisps. And Felix is like, is this okay for me to eat? And he's like, yeah, eat it.
I don't know. Why not? It's potato chip.
But it's got dairy in it, and it sends him into anaphylaxis.
God, when you're a parent, you have to read labels?
Oh.
Every label?
Boo.
What is this? This is bananas.
Yeah.
Which the kid is probably also allergic to.
You could do a bunch of extra steps to make sure your kid is healthy and happy and safe, or you could just say, grow up, pussy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what he's
riding that line. He's riding
that line, which is easier is my thing.
Yeah, it's so much easier.
Well, also,
but he's also so like, come on, like his sister gives him the if he ever does go, here's the EpiPen, blue in the sky, orange in the thigh, and he like yeahs her, and then of course, sure enough, come on, dude, you literally couldn't remember blue is up,
or that blue is a plunger button and that
like,
orange has a needle.
Like, do you need to take the Sarah Griffin class of shapes?
Yeah.
Do you not know up and down?
Well, he's got it. So before you get into shapes, the prerequisite is colors.
We have to. Oh shit.
Yeah.
What even is blue?
And then before that is nouns. And I think he's just into nouns right now.
He's just getting into nouns. Just into things. I like things, but I don't know how they're contained.
Yeah.
In different sizes and manners.
I was really into nouns as a kid. And then when I took adjectives, mine was blown. When I got into college and I got adjectives 201 my sophomore year, people were like, you can use words to describe a noun to make that noun sort of special. And I'm
just
like,
anything. That noun could do whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, Texas A&M, great institution.
Could be sparkly.
Or morbid. Miss Caroline now has to go out to find Felix's bag back in the tractor.
Back in the tractor, which they left in the sort of the parking lot area. Which again, I was like, okay, you all, can we take it back a moment?
Yes, please.
Like all good rom-coms, there's a moment in which you're like, this world is cuckoo bananas. If what decision are you all making and I know you're leading around a group of children through a field of zombies, but if that tractor going like 3 miles an hour can go through a group of zombies,
Yes.
then you can get that tractor to a bus that you can drive out of there.
Yes. They never really consider how easy these zombies are to get around until late in the movie.
Yeah.
And this is where the movie lacks stakes, because the whole time, you know, this is common in horror films where you think, oh, I know how I would get out of this. But how I would get out of this also seems pretty scary, right? Like how I would get away from this killer. But
the risk versus because we're playing the group of children as complete innocent gag.
Yes.
You can't lose a single one.
No.
Versus in actual horror movies, you can usually lose a couple. You know,
we know which ones.
It's like my friends used to play Scrabble for style, and I would ask them who won, and they're like, "Oh, we know who won."
What? Scrabble for style is just playing the best words, as opposed to
Scrabble for style, no points.
Okay.
You play for and it's like it's essentially, you know, slang Scrabble, like shorten, you know, whatever you play. What if you can make it fit? If it fits, it sits.
Yes.
Scrabble for style, but there is no definitive. I have, you know, 1. I have 900 points. You have 3.
Right.
We all know who won Scrabble for style.
That's right. That's right.
For professional homosexuals only. All others warning.
So she goes out for Felix's bag, and this is
I think this is the moment. This is the moment where we have to reconcile comedy and horror.
Yes.
Like Miss Caroline has to get her hands dirty.
She does. She has to get her dress real fucking dirty. This yellow dress, she's going to come back where it is blood and guts all over it. But she figures out along the way, or not figures out, she did hear from Felix talking about playing the first-person shooter game that Dave let him play, that you shoot them in the head. And at one point in time, she swings a shovel, a diamond-tipped shovel, and it lops off a zombie's head. Zip. And she starts lopping
like
all of their heads
Jedi
off.
lightsaber.
And the thing is, I still am like, why don't we just take turns go? Yeah, whack away, because they're not very hard to keep off of you.
Yes.
And they're definitely easy to outrun.
Dave was defending like an entire group of kids with like a kid's like walker.
Yeah.
Just kind of pushing them down.
Yeah.
And they're so befuddled. And I was like, I don't, but I think it's the, like, you could do one, you could either like attack or defend, but not both.
Yeah.
And like this movie is clearly on the like defense of the children is the most important thing. So the attack is never going to be very strong. It's like playing a healer in a game. You're like, your damage is going to be shit.
Yes.
But you have a Neil Diamond song that is going to knock your fucking socks off and will restore your charisma and your mana or whatever the fuck you're counting to like 100.
I'd like to sing a Neil Diamond song. Okay, roll D20. I rolled a 1. I'm sorry, you have to sing I Am, I Said. I'm like, oh no.
And you've forgotten half of the lyrics.
Yes, and it's out of tune. And a string breaks on your uke. And
come on, everybody.
Knocks your eye out.
Sing along. And everybody's just like, no. You're the worst bard ever.
Worst bard. So she gets back. She uses the EpiPen. Boom. He's saved. All good. So now we've got Teddy. This is kind of like a, Teddy hears a helicopter and he runs to the roof being like, save me, save me, save me. But he falls off the roof and now he can't get back in. And Dave and Audrey are a little bit like, conundrum. Do we let him in?
Shall we turn the other cheek?
And they don't want to open the door because they don't want to let the zombies in with him.
Because the zombies are like on top of him. Unlike when they were at the door, the zombies were like a few yards back.
Yes. So Dave decides, I will help him. I'll get up on the roof and pull him up. And he does.
Look at him becoming a mensch.
That's right. He's growing up, this Dave.
He held a child's hand, watched that child and cry and felt, it's what, you there, boy? What day is it? It's Christmas Day, sir. Christmas Day. The ghosts have left me right. Oh, look, he's reborn. That's it. He didn't need to send that child over to his girlfriend. The answers were inside him all along.
That's right.
He just had to help that aging child entertainer up onto that roof. And then this moment, this like sex addict monologue.
Yes. This is
one of those things where like I was watching this and this movie in a weird way is like it's like a funny concept. Children versus zombies, right?
Yeah.
But not in Micro Machine children versus, it's more like zombies versus children. I think that's a better way to phrase that. Protect the children from the zombies.
Yeah.
So like in the middle of this, you have this like everybody's gonna have a moral conundrum. And what is Teddy McGiggles? That he's like addicted to sleeping with moms whose children are his fan.
Yes. And here's the thing. I find that problematic in a way of like, yes, there's a power differential there or whatever else. But also like, I don't know, it's a weird angle to take that I know we're trying to make him seem like a truly awful person. And in this scene, we're also trying to say there's a hope by just admitting the problem you have.
Yes.
That this will make you better. I just think that the core of it is that he hates his job and he hates the kids, that he went down this path, became so famous doing a kids show that he never got to really
to play Hamlet himself. Like or be an Oleana by David Mamet, which was his, at method actor dream.
Yes, because he studied under Al Pacino at the Actor Studio, which I don't think that's how that works, but still, whatever.
Okay, fine. And also method actors are like usually the like most chauvinistic, like horrible, like you're manipulating the rules of the game just for your own fucking ego.
Yeah.
Kind of shit.
I just found him sleeping with the kids' moms just to be a weird sidebar that I'm like, I don't know that this makes him worse. It's just another terrible thing about him. But I just was like, what is this supposed to be funny? That because later I think they're just using it to set up the joke. When he kills one of the zombie children, he starts yelling, I fucked your mother. I fucked
your mother. So it's he's turning that frown upside down.
That's right.
He is using the healing powers of a rom-com are flowing through him, that he can take his damaged past, use it as juice. And like I actually, there's a moment that I kind of love, like when they're like when they're going to go get the keys for the truck, and he's like got the bandana, his red bow tie has now become like a Rambo, like he's like, do it for Al Pacino kind of moment. It's cute. It's very funny, but it's like, damn, that was a big setup. That was a big setup for I Fucked Your Mother.
Yes. I think the funniest just joke in the movie, like the funniest moment to me, is the Lupita Nyong'o "You're a Liability" speech.
Yeah.
But this funniest joke in this movie, it's just classic vaudeville. I just love this joke, which is while Teddy and Dave are sitting on the roof, and Teddy is kind of coming clean about some of these things, and he was like, Teddy McGiggle isn't even my real name. Funny joke. And the next beat, he says, it's Nathan. And then Dave says, Nathan McGiggle? And I laughed out loud. Classic. I think that's a classic joke. It's a real, Who's on First is one of the great comedy bits of all time. And
it's one egg is enough. Like it is the definition of humor, in that you take, your assumption is, with a name like McGiggle that is so clearly not a real name, but the straight man has to set it up, be like, what? Oh
yeah,
no,
it's super great,
funny.
So we cut back to the U.S. Army again here. So we've got a couple beats.
We're gonna blow it all up.
We're just gonna blow this is very we watched Shin Godzilla a couple months ago for Patreon, and that's the U.S.'s solution, and that is, let's just drop a nuclear bomb on
collateral
Tokyo.
Damage, man.
Collateral damage is part of it. We're saving, and I don't understand. Well, I do, but the U.S. Army could certainly just go to Pleasant Valley with soldiers and just clear the area. Now, I'm not promoting that either. That sounds also very dangerous.
Yeah.
But the idea that we have to just nuke it from the sky, I think sort of speaks to our commitment to drone warfare now.
Yes.
The idea
true.
that like
just, if I could sit back here and press a button,
collateral damage is a much easier choice to make when you are just pressing buttons and not actually on the ground with foot soldiers.
I mean, clearly.
Yeah.
And especially if you're the map that you're using to fly those drones is the gift store map with
of a kid's park.
Of a kid's park, and that is the like intel that you're getting from your inferiors,
yep,
whatever. No, they don't call them inferiors, do they?
No.
Are you my inferior? No, you're subordinate.
So
it's like they've like circled in red pen. They're like, all the zombies are right there. Here are the coordinates, right by the petting zoo. But if you hit the koala experience, you've gone too far.
Yeah.
Don't bomb the koalas.
That's right. So later that night, Audrey and Dave have their honesty moment with each other, and Dave is admitting that, you know, he and his girlfriend broke up. Yeah. And he says because she slept with somebody else, she said, "Oh, that's awful." And he's like, "Honestly, it's my fault. I just didn't ever want to grow up. It had nothing to do with her.
What?
It had to do with me." And then she admits, this threw me for a loop. She's like, the reason I came to Australia to begin with is because I was stalking a band.
Yeah.
And she was stalking Taylor Hanson from Hanson.
And he literally goes, bop. And in the moment where she's like, bop.
It's very funny.
And I think that, you know, the lesson, you know, but her point is, I used to be a fuck up like you.
Yeah.
And then in Escape from Hanson, which is like my favorite, the third of the Escape from series. Escape from New York, Escape from LA, Escape from Hanson.
Hanson's hotel room. Yep.
With Snake Plissken is classic. But she like fractured her collarbone and like was stuck in a foreign country with no money. And that crisis moment was her turnaround moment. And she started volunteering at a school, because that's something that you do in rom-coms when you have too much time in your hands. Not like, I don't know, hit the bottle or take up gambling or something like that. But no. This is a redemption story. So it's that moment of like, even a fuck up like you that stood in the middle of a square playing your shitty music for people that don't want it. There's hope for you yet. You'll be reading labels and helicopter parenting by the time this movie is over, guaranteed.
This couple is going to be amazing in the future because he's a narcissist and she's a stalker. So this is a great pairing. MFEO, made for each other. There you go. She also admits to really liking Neil Diamond in there. And so not long later, when we're trying to calm the kids down, he breaks out the ukulele and swings Sweet Caroline, which is like Shake It Off. Just, it's an earworm, and we're just all so tired of it. Like, we get it, Red Sox fans. Like, it's a fun song to sing, good times. But like, it is like
played
not
out.
Only like found its way into our hearts, but it's like started to fester in there.
It's gone necrotic.
Just the worst, yeah. So, but it's supposedly this very sweet moment.
But like the difference, Jeffrey, the difference is like night and day with this one, from the song on the bus to the song. Look at him. He's listen, I know a girl for him once this zombie apocalypse is over.
My God.
But even then, but like, isn't that the thing of like, you know, put people in crisis and they like rise to the occasion, you know, but then what happens after the crisis is over and old patterns return? And he's like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I
shit. Life is long and hard.
Yeah. And I don't want to be like
person
full like Graham Greene here and be like, no one can ever change you. You're fated to your slot in life or whatever.
My story is written.
Yeah. And, but there is Yeah, there are a lot of red flags around both of these characters.
Listen, they'll be fine. But they look great in they look great.
Yeah.
It's the pretty hair thing. He has the pretty hair, so clearly he's got to be the protagonist.
Yeah. So the plan now is we're gonna make a run for this fucking tractor, but then Teddy's like, wait a minute, I have the McGigglemobile,
which has a hole in the top,
hole in the roof. That's where the Froggy puppet comes out,
so
and
we can just march him up off the top and drop him down into the McGigglesmobile.
Yeah. So they're like
McGriddles, McGiggles for everybody.
That's right. So even Audrey's like, sure,
Wait,
that's
actually,
not a bad idea. Pretty good.
Look at you.
All right.
Oh, my God, you're contributing?
That's right. You're going to make the change. Narrator voice, he did not make a change.
He did not make the change.
But this is where we make the mad dash. So Dave is going to distract him by banging buckets together, and Teddy is going to make a dash for the van, drive the van up. They'll jump off the roof into the top.
Classic
hole.
Day of the Dead escape from the mall shit.
Yes. And this is where along the way he sees kid zombies and he starts getting excited to just bust him up. And he starts busting him up. I fucked your mother, blah, blah, blah.
At one point, a zombie tries to bite him and he bites the zombie in return and says, "How do you like it?" And then realizes he's just bit a zombie, spits out the blood, and then vomits.
Yes.
So that this is where it's gross humor. But it's not like, it's very slapsticky. It's not long game humor. This is shorthand humor.
Yeah.
It's your short game, you know? Can you do a spit take? Great. You're going to do like 30 of them.
Yes. So he gets to the van, as does Dave, but Teddy gets in there first, locks the door, and will not let Dave in. And when Dave's like, please open the door as the zombies are approaching,
flips him the double bird.
Flips him the bird. And then here comes Froggy Hand from behind him in the van.
Which makes no sense, Jeffrey. It's like
doesn't.
The puppet is the zombie, but the person operating the puppet should be this. And then it just like reaches inside his gut and starts pulling out his guts. And you're like, this is going to take a long time at the car wash to clean out.
Yeah.
Somebody get.
I'm just thinking about I'm just thinking how hard it is to like reach around a corner to try to get torque on a screwdriver to undo the bolt on say the back of a cabinet or something.
Like punching through human bodies.
And with a fucking hand puppet, like do that with an oven mitt and try and do any manual labor with an oven mitt on. I don't know how he gets his belly open so quickly and rips his full fucking cheek off. We see side tooth and everything.
Yeah. But sure enough, young child, what's his name? Felix. Young child Felix has snuck off, and he is dressed up as Darth Vader. So he's in his
he brought that with him
or something. I don't fucking know.
My question was,
you had a full Darth Vader costume inside your goddamn backpack, kid?
But I guess he brought that on the field trip. I'm just so confused.
Listen, children need to express themselves individually. And we can't put expressions upon them. So if he needs his Darth Vader outfit in order to kill zombies, then that's what that child needs. And sure enough, he's got the tractor coming for Dave. Get it back. And he's also manages to, I think, rescue a baby goat. There's literally a
little
moment
baby yellow sheep or whatever.
What is this, an Ann Geddes calendar? This zombie movie has about as much Yankee Candle magic as it does actual horror movie. There's a moment, a child being chased by zombies, and we just go, "Oh, look, I saw a goat." It's about that level. People that are having a normal conversation and have to stop that conversation, be like, "Oh my God, a puppy just looked at me," and then talk about it for 10 minutes. That's who this movie is made for.
Yeah.
That might be you. I'm not judging, but there are those people.
Yeah.
If you see a cute animal and you go, "Oh my God," then this movie is for you.
Yeah. So there's also this inexplicable moment too, where we've seen him earlier in this film, Felix, dressed as Darth Vader, trying to use the Force. But in this moment, when he finds the little lamb, he's cornered in the barn, and the zombies are approaching, and he holds his hand up and uses the force to close the gate to keep them out. And I'm like, okay, that just happened.
Well, no, it's like one of the zombies bumps, like
Oh, is that what
visibly
happened?
bumps into the
Oh,
gate,
okay.
but in this little 5-year-old brain, the force has actually worked for
Okay.
the first time.
I think
It's
my
Santa Claus
brain
thing.
was tuning out late at night.
Yeah, no. By this point, you're like, I was like, what is? And then the goat isn't even with them on we
We
went
never
through
see
all
that fucking thing again.
There's
Yeah.
so many. I would like to point out at this point that there's an entire like Chinese family that gets eaten in front of the daughter. We see the daughter escape, and she is never heard from again throughout this entire film. I was like, oh, cool. We're gonna get a late addition to the compound. No, just
nope. That just kind of got thrown away.
bye.
That just goodbye.
No, we gotta keep this message real simple for our Daves and Sarahs and Brendas and Chads
Brendas. So they get the kids out of there, and one of the things that was happening earlier was that Max, the kind of bully kid, was like, he's the spoiled mean kid, and he's the one freaking out.
He's Augustus Gloop.
He is Augustus Gloop, and he's screaming earlier in this film, which is why Dave has to he wants to play putt golf, and that's when Dave has to sing him the Sweet Caroline or whatever to calm the kids down. Well,
but man, it is now 24 hours later, and this child is insatiable, like will not be put aside from his putt.
And so they get these kids on the tractor, and this kid now has something to do, which he's holding his putter, and he is smacking zombies left and right as they're driving away at 3.5 miles an hour.
In the tenderest of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, literally. This child is booping zombies. Yeah. Now, here's the thing about this horror movie podcast. Like, booping zombies is a thing that the horror genre can contain. But Jeffrey, I ask you, should it?
We were so busy wondering if we could. We never stopped to ask if we should.
They're like, I want a multiple award-winning actress with a small child booping zombies in Australia, and I will see it done in my life. It is my life's work to make zombies accessible to basic families all across America, reminding them that family fun time is not the end of their lives, that they in fact can enjoy a raunchy joke, or perhaps a bit of a scare late at night when the children are safely tucked in bed and they won't eat anything or observe anything that will make my parenting job uncomfortable or more tiring than it already is. See it done.
And they did. They actualized their dream. It's amazing.
And Angel's just got its wings.
Yep. Every time a zombie gets booped, an angel gets its wings.
I think that's how that works.
So they're driving away at slow speed, but the zombies are roughly the same speed. It's just walking,
adorable.
shambling behind them. And Audrey is singing songs to keep the kids focused, like all eyes on 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me, 1, 2, all eyes on you.
The bus go square and flat, square and flat.
So, but they start realizing that the zombies are singing along. I thought this was a cute. Clap your hands, whatever.
But again, it's delightful, but it is like, it's like ordering a glass of, like a Nebbiolo red wine. You're like, ooh, this is gonna be real good. And that's Shaun of the Dead. And then when it gets there, it's got like 4 or 5 ice cubes in it, because like wines have tannins, and tannins are just kind of feel weird in my mouth. So we just put a bunch of like ice cubes in it, and that's this movie.
Yes.
So like the
Agreed.
scene, like this movie, like some people would say it's a different take on the zombie comedy, but it really does owe a lot to Shaun of the Dead.
As a couple of people who do not have children, have not been parents, there is a thing where I think both you and I are searching for, and I definitely in this moment, I really love the moment where the zombies are singing, because where my brain goes with that is I'm really interested in the zombie as containing only bodily memory and not brain memory.
Right.
That it has no intellectual function, it only has bodily function. And I think separating the brain and the body and thinking about what does your body know
Well, lizard
is
brain.
a really great
Yeah.
question. And I think the muscle memory of song,
When you're
of
happy and
clap,
you know it, clap your hands. Clap, clap.
I love that. I love that your body just knows to do that.
There's like an echo there. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
48 years old. I have not played in a band, in a marching band, since I was 18. And I still remember all the fingerings of all the scales. And sometimes when I'm just bored, I just run through them. And I think that that's wild that my body just knows that.
I'll do you one better. There's a woman in my knitting circle who is much older than I am. And she said that her mother, full Alzheimer's, had no idea what year it was, who she was, who anything was, but she could still put knitting needles into her mother's hand, and her mother could show her how to fix and do things. That like logical brain, fully not functional, but like tactile brain,
yeah,
still 12 years old.
And I find there's so much room for horror to explore what
Horror,
happens,
comedy,
comedy
drama,
too, yeah, all of these
like,
things. And
like
this
that's a
movie
feast.
makes nothing of that. And in fact, it's so disappointing, I think, this moment, because so the zombies are following them, and they're realizing you can kind of subdue the zombies too by keeping them singing.
They're less bitey when they're singing.
They're less bitey, they're less
just
aggressive.
Much like Taylor Swift fans.
And they get to the end of the road, and there is sorry, it just took me a second to take in that sentence.
Yeah.
And they get to the end of the road, and there is the U.S. Army barricade with full M16s or whatever those are drawn, and they kind of have to clamor to like, don't shoot. And
They're
it's
like,
only when
doing?
they
I see two people, and one of them singing, and it's zombies, and this joke. It's like, God, I will not shoot a group of children again.
Dear Lord.
You're like, oh,
okay.
Oh, here we go.
The barricade lets them through, and as they're coming, the humans are coming through, Dave says, don't shoot them. You just have to sing the zombies a song. That's all you have to do.
Just say 1, 2, 3.
Well, yeah.
Put your eyes out on me or something.
That's right.
1,
let
2,
the body
3. 1, 2, 3. Throw your eyes at me. 1, 2. I eat you. 3, 4. Freddy's dead. Okay, whatever. But sure enough, but the units, they're like, but again, like there's no such thing as military intelligence. They're like, oh, well, that's a weird thing that we could, fuck it, just shoot them all.
We're not built to do that. So they start to mow them all down, and we're just seeing it's just full like combat video game, like heads exploding and bodies ripping apart. There's like a comedic moment where the big park mascot dressed as a raccoon or rat or whatever gets mowed down. And then we hear on the radio, engage hailstorm, and like a B-2 bomber flanked by a couple of F-18s flies by and just drops the biggest bomb short of a nuclear warhead on this park.
And of course, Miss Caroline is all like, don't worry, kids, it's the big surprise. Listen, kid, it's the aristocrats.
It's the aristocrats. I wish that had been the last line of this film.
And sure enough, in that big explosion moment, our two adults kiss. Like,
and we're all happy until suddenly the kids start getting grabbed. They get grabbed by men in all black and gas mask and thrown into a back of a van.
Classic ET villain.
Yeah. But then this commander guy has to go speak to the parents of all the kids who've been clamoring to see their kids for the last couple of days.
Never mind the families of the people that were turned into zombies that they had to incinerate. I'm sure that's a very different meeting.
Yeah.
And you must give different information. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Could you imagine how much less of a rom-com if we had seen that conversation in the film?
Yeah. This, the end of this movie, this moment here, it's really hard. I'm sorry to make this really dark here, but the way that sometimes when you're doing satire, right? Like you're doing satire about the way the world works,
Yeah.
and then years later that satire comes
Yeah.
true
Yeah.
in a really awful sort of way. And that's one of the dangers of satire that can happen, right?
Tastes change.
Just
That's the thing about comedy. Tastes change
taste change, and
every 10
also,
years or
yeah.
so.
And Joseph and I have talked about in writing Night Vale too, of like, try to avoid straight on satire as much as possible, because
Yeah.
I go back and listen to early Night Vale and I'm like, oh shit, this whole like people having crazy conspiracy beliefs can be kind of cute and funny. And then over time you're like, oh no, we got to January 6th and I am done now with that.
You're like,
But
uh-oh.
this movie came out in 2019. In 2022, the Uvalde, Texas elementary school shooting.
Yeah.
One of the things that happens in that is the police did zero.
Yeah.
And they stood around it being like, what should we do? What should we do? Nobody went in. Nobody went in to disarm the shooter. Nobody went in to do fuck all. And so many kids died while parents stood around outside. What is happening to our children? And they would not tell them anything. And so this movie hits really hard at the end here, because I'm like, this is played as cute where the parents are all like, oh, thank God you got our kids back. And they're like, nope, it's actually these two heroes, Dave and Audrey or whatever.
Yeah.
They're in quarantine for 48 hours. It's going to be fine. And it just feels not deliberate, but disingenuous because of
I get it.
time. Yeah.
I mean, I thought you were going to say, what, 3 to 6 months later, we're going to have a global pandemic
Yes.
that a lot of people don't believe are real.
Yeah.
And, it's going to be like little pods of people singing Taylor Swift songs and Neil Diamond songs to each other while the world burns outside in order to keep those kids occupied as they like figure out how to parent and
yeah. No, you're dead on.
And feed and, like do all the things that, you would share the load with other members of your society, such as, I don't know, teachers.
Yes.
When you hand your children over to teachers.
Yeah.
You got to do that now.
Yeah.
So this weird thing of like, this like man who doesn't want children is now like, due to proximity and hazmat suits.
Yeah.
Forced to discover an inner love of Neil Diamond that he didn't fucking know he had in the most delightful of ways.
Yeah.
I was like,
and I
think this good? This is good. And it's also this dude, Dave, can have a redemption arc of having his sister hear that he stepped up and was a mensch.
Yeah.
By helping to shepherd these children through this experience.
Yeah, it's
but that's the happy ending.
That's the happy ending.
His and there is actually a very touching scene between Dave and Sarah in which both actors like really like kind of pull up like Lupita Nyong'o, and they like drop the comedy, and it's like this character Dave says, you were always the bigger sister growing up. You took care of me. I've never said this before in so many words, but like, and he doesn't say because I have not long to live, but he comes to, so like, we really do get the full Joseph Campbell arc.
We do. We totally do. But yeah, this is just a movie that because it's playing to the go the fuck to sleep crowd.
Yeah.
It's a pure escape. Type of movie. It doesn't want to weigh you down with actual deep consideration of anything other than just be a good person, right? Let's try to. Here's how you can be a bad person. Now let's show you how to be a good person. Make the choice to be a good person.
And kids are a great, way to like sort of cauterize that.
Yes. I just found at the end, I'm like, boy, I think even if I was trying to use this movie as an escape, I have a hard time escaping from really serious news things by the end of this movie. And I think it's so hard to like touch on satire about really dangerous things, like the way Americans
and not have it stain you.
The way Americans are just like, let's put ourselves in another country and have free reign to just drop bombs on whatever civilian target we want. Like, that's some shit that I'm like, I think that needs more unpacking than this movie wants to do. So
you got to see Bong Joon-ho for that.
Yes, like, that's right.
Like, that's where you should go watch, The Host, Parasite.
Yeah, I would just argue if you're going to make a lighthearted film that doesn't want to touch on these there's just a lot of topics in this movie I would just stay away from if you don't want to die, because the moment you open the box, you cannot, it's Pandora's box, like you cannot put it back in.
Yeah.
All right, well, shall we rate this film?
Yes, let's.
All right, so Sasha scale, the squeamish approachability scale for the horror averse. How approachable is this movie on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not at all approachable, funny games, and 10 being super approachable, like Over the Garden Wall, delightful animated autumnal romp. I would give, that's a 10, and funny games is a 1. So on this 1 to 10 scale, I would give Little Monsters, like, I think this is pretty approachable, but I'm still gonna say like 7 out of 10 hailstorms engaged, only because of the actual gore is a lot. Actually, it's video gamey.
Yeah. Like this goes one step beyond haunted house into video game crazy, like splatter.
Yeah, it's just seeing the blood on her dress, it's pretty detailed. Like it's like clumpy and globby, and we see intestines get pulled out of Josh Gad. We watch his face get peeled back off of it, and like it's gross. Like it's not. We've seen gorier, but I think about what was the New Zealand zombie comedy, Black Sheep. Yeah, it's kind of on that level. Like it's gory to a funny way. So just depending on how squeamish you are about gore, that's where this movie is. If you're like, I can handle gore if it's all silly and in good fun, or just straight up action.
If you make a joke at which they do many times, like like oh god, that's not jam, that's human brains.
That's right. So the comedy lessens, I think, that impact, but I'll just keep it at 7 out of 10 because it is pretty gory. That's where I'll land on that. But that's really all I can think of. There's not really any jump scares. It's not like horror. It's comedy horror. It's pretty straightforward. Everyone that should live lives, sort of thing, and we're all good. As a horror film, Cecil, what about you? What do you think?
I mean, it's a horror film. The special effects are pretty amazing, and I do love the commitment to using the same ensemble of zombies throughout the entire movie. Like they really do use the same actors, so it's like you get to know the zombies a little bit, which is one of my favorite things.
Yes,
when zombies have a like, oh, it's the girl in the the mascot, the girl in the dress, like you start thinking like, oh, how funny, the life of these zombies are not just the unwashed minions. However, this movie is it's again, it's like it's trying to attack and defend. It's trying to comedy and scare, but it's not really. No, it's trying to entertain through comedy and maybe a little scary, but the scary isn't very scary. So for that reason, I'm only a 3.
Yeah.
3 blood covered puppets that inexplicably eat with their puppet mouths.
It's very weird. Very, very weird. Very strong hands, that puppeteer, is what I'm saying.
It's all in the thumb.
It is. So let's figure out what movie we will watch next. You have a scare die. I have a style die. We'll roll those up, see what movie matches those two things. So Cecil, on your scare die, if you roll a 1, our next movie scare is technology. If you roll a 2, it's vampire. If you roll a 3, it's ghost. 4, society is the scare. Capitalism was the enemy all along. 5 is an aquatic scare. 6 is something witchy. So what is our scare?
That's a 1.
Technology. Okay, so we're gonna match up your
bloops, evil bleeps and bloops.
We're gonna match up your evil bleeps and bloops with whatever style I roll. So if I roll a 1, it's got to be a giallo style. 2, film on film, something that is a movie about movies. 3, a film from the 1970s. 4, something with a good daytime scare. 5, a rural horror. Or 6, a Japanese horror film. So let's see what we got here. I got a 4, something with a good daytime scare.
Technology and daytime scare. All right.
Okay, let's see what we have. So we wrote down a couple, and then we have our Letterboxd account too. So people, all of our Letterboxd followers, are really great about chipping in some ideas for each of the potential matchups that we have. So let me look at what we put on our list. A couple ones that just came immediately to mind were the 1970s Steven Spielberg flick Duel.
Yes.
Dueling trucks
Dueling trucks.
on the open road. Big daytime scare stuff.
Yep.
Another good one is T2, Terminator 2.
2, Judgment Day.
More action than horror-ish, but I'm gonna say it scared
There's some
poo out of
scary,
me when I was a kid.
moments in that,
Yeah.
for sure.
And then I wasn't sure if this fit into day scare, although I did see it on a list of, whatever, that kind of fit into that. But Tetsuo the Iron Man.
Yes. Which is like about like sort of a cyborg guy who gets taken over by mechanical parts. And it is sort of a day scare in that it don't matter day or night.
Yes.
He is hooked up to some machinery.
Yes. This movie looks really intense. So yes, there's that. So let's talk about what our Letterboxd viewers brought to it. Volatile Spider brings us the Brandon Cronenberg film Antiviral from 2012. Lots of scenes during the day. Also Evangelion, which we both started watching. I'm not through the series yet either. But no. That's a lot. Josh Ludd brings us Demon Seed, 1977.
Now this is what, this Julie Christie gets raped by her Google Nest. It is, shall we say, problematic, but spot on for the brief, because it's about a house that manipulates daylight and shadow. So it's like, this is like a low budget, essentially her house gains sentience and locks her in.
Oh,
I've
interesting.
Never seen this. I love Julie Christie. She's one of my favorite actors, bar none. But
yeah.
I've never seen this though, so I'm kind of curious how that sort of what is the technology aspect? I guess it's like really her Google Nest, but I think there's going to be some major trigger warnings for this one.
Yeah,
problematic. Shall we say?
Yes. Yeah, problematic. Shall we say? Diamond Dogs throughout the Predator.
Okay, but see, here's the thing about a lot of these: the Predator uses technology, but the Predator is the scare.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
I agree. I don't know.
The same way that a lot of these is the I want killer computers. I want killer trucks. Fifth Hammer also, they live. This one I could see, but it's killer aliens that just use the technology.
Yeah, because the technology, you could call the sunglasses a form of technology, right. Maybe, but yeah.
Ooh, what is this? Weaponized toaster. Stay Alive. Teens playing an online horror video game that gets a little too real.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That sounds kind of interesting. Megan is another one.
Yeah.
Definitely technology gone wrong. Definitely some good gay scares. What?
Gay scares.
My Freudian slip is showing.
That's from Corvidae wrote Megan. And Sav brings up Titan. Yeah, there is daytime scare in Titan. Titan is one of those ones that kind of skirts what technology is, because she has a titanium plate in her head and that it's more than just that, but I don't know necessarily that you would qualify it as technology. Yeah. It's not quite in the classic thing of evil scientist planted a computer chip in this woman's head or whatever. It's not that. The Cell came up. I've never seen the Cell. The Cell from Fifth Hammer. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's Cell from 2016.
Yes.
I was thinking The Cell with J-Lo.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, wait, that Jennifer Lopez movie? That's kind of a day scare.
But is it
involves Jennifer Lopez going into weird psychedelic mind technology to catch a killer, if I remember right.
Oh,
wearing Balenciaga gowns and shit in southern Spain.
Oh, that's interesting. Again, I think it's an interesting differentiation of. So to bring it back to the Predator, right? The Predator is not technology, but uses technology.
Yes.
Same way, you could make the argument that Duel also is. The scare are these men, not the trucks. The trucks are just trucks. It's not maximum overdrive, whereas that's the technology. But
I like these two. We have Cell which is zombie-like apocalypse triggered by cell phones, written by Stephen King.
Yes.
Which I've read the book, but I've not seen the film.
Yes.
And The Call, which I think you and I both portmanteaued into The Cell, which is a different movie. But the
Yes.
call looks really interesting. 2020. Tripta Genilis says, while visiting her childhood home in a country, a young woman finds a cordless phone, starts receiving calls from a girl living there 20 years ago, which sounds kind of spooky and
Uh-huh.
fun.
That is
So, and that one,
interesting.
like, the technology is the method of evil
Yeah,
spreading. It's such an interesting thing.
it is. EFBQ brings up Flatliners, which just watching
Yeah.
creepy Kiefer Sutherland movie in Dark City.
Yep.
That's another interesting one to take on. So, um, Brave Crab also says, I think there are a couple day scares in Evil Speak from 1981, but I don't
Yep.
know this movie very well.
And I think
Westworld,
Joshua
yeah,
Todd put Westworld up there as well, which I've never seen the original Westworld.
I haven't either.
And listen, I got to say, that one fits the brief almost better than most of these. Technology is the evil in Westworld, and it's clearly a day scare because it's in cowboy country.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I guess it's oh dang, I just looked this up. Michael Crichton directed it. That's interesting. Yeah, this is fascinating. Okay, well, so what's standing out to you most here?
I think out of the what you got, Jeffrey?
All right, so definitely. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to do one honorable mention to our favorite username BGHVGJDH throughout Mad Max, because I had put Mad Max on one of the other lists as a possibility, and so they were saying, hey, if Mad Max counts, you could say Mad Max 2, Fury Road, these all count too. Again, it's sort of like the technology isn't the scare,
It's
though.
more scary cars.
Yeah,
Or
but
it's
the
being driven
people
by
are the
scary
scare
people. Yes.
using the cars. Okay, so I would say where technology truly is the scary thing, where we're dealing with robot-y things.
Yeah.
Terminator 2,
Okay.
Westworld,
Yeah.
Demon Seed all seem like those three to me feel like the most.
Maybe
Megan.
Megan. See, I would say Megan or Tetsuo.
Oh, Tetsuo. I forgot we even had Tetsuo on there. So,
fuck, that's rough.
Okay,
now, but honestly, I think for me, it's between Demon Seed and Westworld. It's a technology house that kills and does bad things, or it's like technology robots gone wrong in the Wild West, which is such a day scare.
Yeah. Moment. I don't know how horror-y it leans. I mean, the premise already is horror.
Yeah.
But it may lean, being Michael Crichton may lean more sci-fi.
Oh no, it's much more like, it's much more sci-fi. Like it's gonna be lower on the horror brief.
But I would never keep say Michael Crichton sci-fi. I would never keep like Jurassic Park off of our list, right? Because
exactly.
So I think there's that. Okay, so thinking about where we've been recently, I would love to watch Megan for the show, but the one thing about Megan is I think we're also kind of dealing with a little bit of the YA horror thing coming off of Little Monsters.
Yeah.
So I could use something a little scarier. That's where Tetsuo sounds really interesting.
Tetsuo is dark as fuck
because it looks dark as shit.
Also, Cell is kind of I've not seen the movie, but I know that it's like cell phones that cause people to turn into zombies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's really fascinating. Dang. Okay, I'm really taken by Westworld. I wonder if maybe that's what we should do, because I've never seen it. Never read the book.
Seen it either.
I never even saw the HBO series. Like, I don't even know.
I've seen most of the HBO series.
Okay.
And it's worth it.
Okay.
But this would be some fun, some fun homework. Go back and checking out a classic.
Yeah. I think that's going to be really interesting, because I really don't know much about it.
Robots dressed like cowboys gone bad. What more
And it's very early Michael Crichton. I'm really fascinated to see him directing a thing. I mean, Stephen King directed Maximum Overdrive, and that is one of the most amazing movies I've ever seen in my whole life.
So the bar is set real high.
Okay.
Let's do Westworld.
Let's do Westworld. So thank you all for listening. Thank you, Cecil, for talking with me. If you have thoughts on Little Monsters or ideas for what movie you think would have been a good technology meets day scare, let us know on Instagram at randomhorror9 or on Twitter if we're still around there, and watch Westworld from 1973, I believe, with us this week, the original film. And come on back next Tuesday for a new episode. Have a restful night with no frog puppet ripping off your cheeks or nothing. Boo.
Boo.